in the history of our country.
Literally, the only thing I think that is keeping this country America and the America we've always known is President Donald Trump.
He said, I am no longer going to allow the American worker to be taken advantage of.
Any of your favorite Trump campaign people are on the new app called Parler.
These sort of deep state, DC swamp creature, former intelligence people, all this nonsense, pushing back on Trump's agenda, which is putting America first.
I am here as your president to proclaim before the country and before the world, this monument will never be desecrated. These heroes will never be defaced.
On this wonderful day, we celebrate our history, our heroes, our heritage.
On Independence Day, I took a moment just to really appreciate and thank law enforcement for the job they do.
We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. We will make America great again.
Welcome to Team Trump Online.
I am here as your president to proclaim before the country and before the world, this monument will never be desecrated. These heroes will never be defaced. Their legacy will never, ever be destroyed. Their achievements will never be forgotten. And Mount Rushmore will stand forever as an eternal tribute to our forefathers and to our freedom. We are the nation that gave rise to the Wright brothers, Harriet Tubman, George Patton, the great Louis Armstrong, Elvis Presley, Ella Fitzgerald. We settled the Wild West, won 2 world wars, landed American astronauts on the moon. Centuries from now, our legacy will be the cities we built, the champions we forged, the good that we did, and the monuments we created. America's destiny is in our sights. America's heroes are embedded in our hearts. America's future is in our hands. And ladies and gentlemen, the best is yet to come.
Wednesday just got better because the ladies are live, discussing the hottest topics of the week with you tonight.
And we will make America great again.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to The Right View. I'm Lara Trump, Senior Advisor to President Trump's re-election campaign. And as always, I'm joined by my 3 amazing co-hosts who really need no introduction, but we'll do it anyway. Kimberly Guilfoyle, Mercedes Schlapp, and of course, Katrina Pierson. Please be sure to like and share this broadcast with all of your friends. Ladies, great to be back with you all. So much has happened since last week. We had the 4th of July, Independence Day. I hope everybody had a great one. Mercy, what did you do?
Well, of course, we went out to the farm, and let me tell you something. The farmers love Donald Trump. We went out, had these wonderful fireworks right out on this, watching this beautiful lake view. And then really at the final end, mind you, they had to get the fireworks from West Virginia, but that's a whole different story. I don't know if they were bootlegged or not, but the best part about it was right at the tail end, and it was such an eclectic group of people. There was a woman who literally is a police officer who's been on the front lines with these riots happening and these protests happening in Virginia. There was, a movie director who does these conservative films. And then there was a pastor. And right at the tail end, when the fireworks finished, he sang, "And let us in God bless America." And so for my girls and for my family, it's a constant reminder of why I love this country and why we have to continue to celebrate July 4th to remember our past and remember where we came from, and for those men and women that fought so hard for us to be free today.
That's right, who paid the ultimate price. Katrina, how about you? What'd you do?
You know, I try to take every opportunity that I can to spend time with my nieces, Laura. They're 2, 8, and 10.
So cute, I know.
So I just really wanted to milk the time to be at home here in Texas and keep them. And, you know, we did really nothing, which is our favorite thing to do. They swam 3 times a day. We popped popcorn in the machine and watched movies until midnight. So I was just living the dream this Independence Day.
I love it. Now, Kimberly, you had a bit of a different situation. I think we all heard about what happened with you, that you tested positive for COVID. You recovered from the coronavirus over the 4th. Tell us about your whole experience. What happened?
Okay, yeah, that was the top of what I was going to say. Thank you, Laura. So, yes, on July 3rd, I had, I guess, some fireworks of my own, tested positive, allegedly for the coronavirus. And as many of you know, we've lost a lot of lives around the globe to this pandemic. It's a very serious situation. And my heart does go out to each and every one of the families who have been coping and suffering through this. And it's a very trying time, I know, for so many families, especially those who have lost loved ones and trying to make sense of the virus. I mean, personally, you know, I'm doing my best and following my doctor's orders. So far, I'm asymptomatic and have been feeling really pretty good. So I'm hoping for and praying for a speedy recovery. I'm really grateful to all of you who have been incredibly loving and kind with all your prayers and thoughts for me, for my son, for Ronan and Don, and reached out to us in one way or the other with your concerns and your heartfelt prayers. And I believe in President Donald Trump. He was incredibly loving to me, very nice. He called right away to check in on me and to make sure that I was doing okay and had everything that I needed. And I know personally that the president is doing everything he possibly can for all American families and to usher along a vaccine while balancing, you know, the safe reopening of America. And I have the greatest belief and faith in our president and his competence and his skill set to be able to usher us through this difficult time. I have great, you know, family and friends who are continually there for me, and Don's been incredible. However, it's not about me, because this is about all of you actually who are going through this, all of us essentially as a country. And I just want to just convey that, you know, you're not alone. We're all in this together, and I really feel confident that things will get better soon. And I'll let you know as time passes how I'm feeling, and hopefully the help of God get through this better and stronger. And I accept this as a blessing from God so that I can understand what other people are going through and those who have lost loved ones. And so I know it's a blessing in my life. And thank you again to each and every one of you for reaching out as well. I really appreciate it. And let's get the show started.
Yeah, well, listen, we're so happy that you're doing better. Obviously, I think when everybody heard that, they were very concerned, and thank God you are asymptomatic. But I know that you are quarantining yourself. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing, which is, it's tough. It's still tough to do, to be home like that for 14 days and try to stay away from people. But thank God you're okay. And at least you got to spend the 4th of July with Don. Who wouldn't want to spend the 4th of July with Don Jr.? What a treat.
I hope Don Jr. cooked for you, Kimberly. My goodness. He owes you a couple of meals, that's for sure.
I won't answer that question.
Well, I had a really nice 4th of July. Obviously, on the 3rd, I was able to go out to South Dakota to Mount Rushmore with the president, with the first lady, and what an incredible speech we heard from President Donald Trump out there. I mean, honestly, it was a very emotional thing. I think sitting there with the gravity of the great men who once led this country, who really are the reason that we all get to celebrate the 4th of July in so many respects. Those men that are on the face of Mount Rushmore, and hearing from our current president about how we will not forget what this country was founded upon, and why the 4th of July is important, and why we are united in this country. We all bleed the same red blood. You always hear that from this president. and we are one America. And it was a really special treat to be out there on the 3rd. And then on the 4th, we were so exhausted from that trip that we really just hung out at home with our kids, sort of like you, Katrina. I always love being able to be with my kids. So we went to the pool. They finally opened up our pool here, although you got to wear masks going into the pool. It's a whole thing. But we had a great time, and it was really special to be together as a family. And we did get one photo as a family on the 4th of July, but my son had just gotten out of the bath, so he's like in a towel. My daughter's like looking like she saw a ghost, a little shocked. But we got that photo, and it'll be cherished for years to come. So anyway, we will get the show started. I'm so happy that all of you had a great 4th of July, and it's great to be back. Now, it may be odd to think about this early in the summer, but the school year actually is right around the corner. And yesterday, President Trump hosted a national dialogue with state, local, and tribal leaders, educators, and families to discuss the importance of reopening all of America's schools in a safe way this fall. Let's play a clip from that.
Now it's time to be open. It's time to stay open, and we will put out the fires as they come up, but we have to open our schools. It's so important to open our schools. And what you said from a psychological standpoint with respect to staying home any longer, you can't do it. You can't do it. That has great dangers also. So that's where we are.
All right. Despite President Trump's common sense approach, Joe Biden and Democrats aren't coming around to the same reality. They want to keep the schools closed. I'll tell you what, I've got not even a 3-year-old, and I can tell you I really need the schools to come back open this fall. It is so critical, but Mercy, you're a mom of 5. Why is it so critical to you that kids physically return to school this fall?
Well, besides my own mental sanity, I think all between Matt Schlapp, myself, and the 5 children, so that's 7 votes for the Schlapp clan to say, hey, we need to get back to school. The kids even want to get back to school. Look, I was there in the spring when I was trying to manage and help with the children. And even my 10-year-old, who literally, has a steady Eddie personality, she was having a very difficult time in adjusting to the so-called distance learning, where I don't think they learned very much in the process. So look, it's very clear that even Dr. Fauci has said it, where he has said, not getting these kids back to school have unintended negative consequences. You're also seeing the American Academy of Pediatrics saying, classroom learning is important. They should go back to school. The routine is important. There's no question that they can find a way in these states, and I commend actually the education commissioner in Florida for saying we are going to reopen the schools, to say let's get these kids back to school, let's get back to a routine. It's harder on the working families, it is harder on those single parents that have to figure out a way how they're going to take care of their kids, somehow teach their kids, and not have these kids back in school. This disproportionately impacts minority communities, and it's why the president's message of reopening up the schools is so important, and why Joe Biden's message of saying, no, I'm going to stand with the teachers unions, and I'm going to stand with these individuals who say everyone else will adapt, companies will adapt to schools not reopening, is very problematic. And I think that the suburban mom will say, I'm going to stick with President Trump on this one, because he wants to make sure my kid gets back to school.
Yeah, and look, I can even see from a psychological point, which the president just said in that clip, look, my child, again, isn't even 3, but I understand the impact of them not being around other children. My son is constantly asking to see his friends. Why he wants to see his teacher. He asks for his teacher all the time. It's really important for the growth and development of children to be socialized, to be around one another. But I also think the president put it best by saying that Joe Biden and the Democrats don't want schools to open in the fall for political reasons, not health reasons, mind you, political reasons. One of the main political reasons is to appease teachers' union bosses. Kimberly, why is Joe Biden siding with union bosses instead of parents who want their kids to continue getting an education?
Yeah, because, it's such a good point. Joe Biden and the Democrats have put union bosses actually ahead of our students, ahead of our children for decades. So this is par for the course for them. The reality is that children in certain zip codes have been trapped in chronically failing schools, and it is absolutely heartbreaking. They're not given a chance in life because they are union-controlled, failure factories. That's all they are. I worked as an educator, as a teacher, as my mother did, teaching children with special needs and learning differences. And it's just remarkably stark, the difference between children who are able to get the resources and get a good education and have school choice and those that aren't. It really does help predetermine their future and their destiny and has generational impact. And instead of giving students and giving children and their parents an actual choice and honoring them through vouchers or through scholarships, they perpetuate this system, this failing system that is leaving so many children behind. And it is absolutely heartbreaking. Because don't you think, ladies, like every child in America deserves a chance and deserves a world-class education. That's where the playing field should be leveled. An education that actually arms them and equips them with the tools that they need to succeed in life, to get good jobs, to be able to provide for themselves, to have economic empowerment and pass it on to the next generation so they can pursue their American dream. Are they not in any way like entitled to that? That at its very basic, besides food and water, you should be able to get a great education. And that's why the work of this administration and this president, I couldn't be more proud of him fighting for that. We heard him mention in the State of the Union, fighting for it on the federal level, and so many Republican governors at the state level working in concert to help provide this necessary opportunity for children. And you look at the work of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and the Education Commissioner Richard Corcoran. They just passed a historic teacher pay raise, which, believe me, teachers should be paid a lot of money, like doctors, but they're not. And while also expanding choice options throughout their state. So they're getting it right. That's an example of how it should be. And great teachers should be rewarded. They should be honored and appreciated. And they should be recruited, quite frankly, with great competitive salaries. And students should not be trapped in failing schools. It's like putting them in prison for what? For being born in this country. Joe Biden, like so many on so many of these issues, he's the status quo. He's a do-nothing guy. 50 years of do nothing. He doesn't care. He doesn't even probably think about it until someone tells him or holds up a cue card. I mean, President Trump believes in choice emphatically, and he believes in the promise of a great education, and he believes that every child deserves the opportunity to succeed. And God bless him for that. That's another one super important reason to reelect him on November 3rd.
That's right. Well, Joe Biden actually doesn't even try to hide the fact that he's beholden to the teachers unions. Just last week, Biden was the featured speaker for the left-wing National Education Association. It's got a decades-long track record of advocating for extreme liberal policies, including being adamantly opposed to school choice, which you were just mentioning, Kimberly. Joe Biden shares their view. Let's watch this.
Not a charter school fan. The point is, if I'm president, from charter schools to this are gone.
Wow. Okay. Well, Katrina, why is Joe Biden in favor of denying families the right to choose where they send their children to school? Again, it seems like it should be a basic right.
Yeah, you know, Laura and Kimberly just mentioned the importance of school choice, and that clip, you know, it's just more evidence that Joe Biden is your typical establishment career politician who is beholden to the special interests that keep Democrats in power. This is absolutely teachers, unions first, parents and children last. And I mean, isn't it telling, though, that these liberals are all for choice unless that choice excludes their big campaign contributors? So, you know, once again, this all boils down to power. And throughout this decades-long career of Joe Biden, he has sacrificed the working class, Black America, and his position now in 2020 is to sacrifice America's children, all for this disturbing entitlement for power. And it's truly disgusting. And I really hope that parents and Americans all over this country, Americans who want to be parents, are paying attention to this particular policy, because really education is the great equalizer in this country. If you want fairness, if you want a level playing ground, if you want success, it all starts with a quality education.
Yeah, Laura, can I add one more point to that? And I think Katrina understands this so clearly. The role of charter schools in communities is so critical and so beneficial for Black children, for Latino children. I mean, it helps them tremendously. And just think about it. Charter schools, for the most part, are academically more successful than your typical public school. So really what Joe Biden's saying in that short and sweet little sentence he said is he's going to destroy charter schools that so many parents rely on, that are a success story for so many American children. And that's just absolutely disgraceful.
Yeah, and by the way, Katrina, I like what you said about if you are thinking of becoming a parent, if you want to be a parent one day, pay attention to this. It never fully sunk into me how important education was until I had children. And then you start thinking about, well, who is going to be the person that is going to influence them more, you know, as much as their parent? It's going to be teachers. It's going to be what they learn in these schools. Not only do you want to know that your school is giving your children a good education, but what else are they teaching them in there? And I think once you become a parent and you realize the gravity of that, it really does hit home. So I agree with you. Look, if you are thinking you want to be a parent one day, if you want to have children, this should be very, very important to you. So it should be very important to every single American.
That's right.
All right. Well, ladies, thank you as always for a great opening discussion. And folks at home, be sure to like and share this broadcast as always with your friends. Quick commercial break, and we will be right back with you.
Joe Biden can't fix our economy. Biden supports massive tax increases on working families, trade deals that let China and Mexico steal our jobs, amnesty for illegal immigrants competing for American jobs. America would become diminished and weak, just like Biden. President Trump gave us the strongest economy America has ever known. Millions of new jobs, lowest unemployment rate for Black and Hispanic Americans, and he will do it again.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
As we have already seen, his America First agenda has lifted all Americans up and have empowered them with true economic emancipation that has once again made the American dream possible. That's why I want you to text EMPOWER to 88022 right now if you want to keep America great and deliver 4 more years for President Donald J. Trump. Welcome back to The Right View. I'm Kimberly Guilfoyle, National Chair of Trump Victory Finance Committee. And joining us now is Leo Terrell, author, commentator, and civil rights attorney, and great friend to all on this show. Leo, thank you so much for joining us. A pleasure to have you on the program.
Ladies, my pleasure as well. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. And Leo, we just touched on the importance of school choice in our education system. Could you discuss how much President Trump has championed school choice as a civil rights issue of our time?
Let me be very clear. Right now, school choice is the civil rights issue of the day. And unfortunately, and being a former school teacher, I understand the value of education. School choice, the right to choose between charter schools, public school, is a foundation of the Trump administration. Unfortunately, Joe Biden is in bed with the union. The union has every intent, the public unions have every intent to prevent choice, to prevent charter schools. Everyone knows that public schools have been a total disaster, primarily because of the union's influence over the Democratic Party. And I am hoping another 4 years of the Trump administration would really wrestle away education from the unions.
Absolutely. And so important. I love your perspective, too, as an educator. And in his historic speech at Mount Rushmore, President Trump spoke about how children's minds are being poisoned in American schools. Let's play this important clip and get a reaction.
The violent mayhem we have seen in the streets and cities that are run by liberal Democrats in every case is the predictable result of years of extreme indoctrination and bias in education, journalism, and other cultural institutions. Against every law of society and nature, our children are taught in school to hate their own country and to believe that the men and women who built it were not heroes, but that were villains.
Mercy, can you talk about how dangerous it is to have teachers no longer actually teaching our children to love our great country, but instead to hate it? And then, Leo, I'll get your thoughts after as well.
Please.
Just real quick. if the teachers go down this pathway of trying to rewrite history, or these Democrats, it's an endangerment to our children. These are Marxist tactics. This is stuff that you see happen in countries like Venezuela and Cuba, and in places where they want to erase history, rewrite history without telling the truth. And that, to me, I think is so destructive for our children. It's why the parents have a big responsibility in making sure that our children learn about our founding documents, about our founding fathers, and explain why America is so unique in this world.
Let me just piggyback on what Mercedes said. What makes this country great is our history of leaders who basically created a unique document called the Constitution, called the Declaration of Independence. And we have Democratic leaders in major metropolitan cities that has basically tried to destroy our institution, try to destroy our history, try to tarnish people who made this country great. Lincoln, Washington, Jefferson, all those great individuals are now trying to be destroyed by Democratic leadership. It's one of the reasons why I had to get out of the Democratic Party. It's been hijacked, as Mercedes said, by extremist groups.
Unbelievable. And Leo, you're brave to do that because you've been a very bold and brave voice for decades here. And I'll tell you, people really pay attention, and you've done a great service to the country by being courageous and standing up and expressing your viewpoints so that other people can actually be educated versus indoctrinated. And Katrina, I want to talk to you about how important it is for parents to teach their children the greatness of America when some schools are blatantly failing to do so.
Yeah, you know, Kimberly, I just wonder if there's any other country in the world who teaches their children to hate their country. And I just don't see that there is one. So it's extremely important for parents, more than any other time, to teach their children the importance of patriotism and preserving their history so they know where we are and how we got here. And more importantly, parents should be holding their elected school board officials accountable if that school system is failing. Because one of the greatest challenges we have today, Kimberly, with parents, is that we had children having children for a generation. And there's really no experience to draw from, no reference of accountability or responsibility to pass down to those children. And guess what? The indoctrinated indoctrinate. But hopefully that will change once President Trump is reelected, because President Trump's policies with school choice will give parents the opportunity to experience the results that comes from competition through the field of K through 12 education. And I firmly believe, and I'm so thankful that Leo is as a voice out there to really educate the people on the importance of teaching our children correctly.
Absolutely. And we're seeing the dangers of this indoctrination domino effect essentially unfold in real time. Let's play this disgusting example, and warning, there is some offensive language in this clip. Take a listen.
I'm ashamed to be an American where not all folks are free. And I won't forget the enslaved who died and built this place for free. So I proudly lift up all the folks who are still oppressed today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt this ain't our land. F Trump and the USA.
Oh my gosh.
So it's so horrendous. There's nowhere to even begin with this. But obviously, I know we all have very strange reactions to seeing this clip. Laura, tell us your feelings, your thoughts.
You know, when I was in school, I remember being taught to stand up, put my hand over my heart. When you say the Pledge of Allegiance, I remember learning God bless the USA in school. And I remember having an emotional reaction to it because I was so proud to be an American. I really was. And I remember learning how great this country was back then. It is horrifying and so sad and disgusting to see a video like this. These women saying the words that came out of their mouth. I mean, I don't even want to repeat them because it is so offensive and so upsetting. But this is it, Kimberly. You said it leading into this clip. This is the domino effect. This is the result of indoctrinating our youth in this country, teaching them to hate America instead of loving America. I dare these young women to find any other country in the world that would afford them the opportunities and the freedoms of the United States. They should be ashamed of themselves. This is disgusting, and I hope their parents are proud of their dollars going to the education money going to work there. These young women probably had the opportunity to go to some nice liberal arts college or school like that. This is disgusting, and it's despicable, disgraceful. I mean, I can't even tell you the number of words I have for this. It's awful.
No, and parents bear some responsibility for this, you know, as well. Leo, so what is your reaction when you see this video and the words and the thoughts conveyed?
You know, I love this country, and it's just so disappointing to hear those two ladies use the word oppressed. No one's oppressed in this country. This is a country of choice, individual freedom, personal responsibility. Oppressed? They are in a time warp. And for all of us, as we sit here on this program, we have benefited from the education, from the history, from the freedom. Why are people begging to get into this country? Because it is a land of opportunity. So those are two misguided young ladies who obviously have been brainwashed, and they do not understand or appreciate the greatness in this country. And that's one thing that President Trump has done. He has made Americans realize that this country is a land of opportunity. And for the last 3 years, he's been doing that. And for the next 4 years, he's going to continue doing that.
Hey, Kimberly, can we get the two girls a one-way ticket to Venezuela or Cuba? I'll pay for it. I'll pay for it. Send them over there.
Get a real education.
Let them hang out with Maduro and all the communists.
Yeah,
and
give
then
them 10 minutes.
Back.
Give them 10 minutes and see how long they like it there. See how much they want to come back to the United States of America.
Absolutely.
This is disgusting.
Where people get shot for fighting over getting a cup of milk. I mean, it's out of control. Katrina, what are your thoughts about this?
You know, Kimberly, I can't tell you my initial thoughts on this program. Laura and I actually discussed this when it first came out, and I don't think there's a single word that I can repeat here. But I will say, you know, as a Black woman, I mean, it is comical to me personally to see two privileged white chicks, clearly, who pretend to know anything about the Black experience or to understand anything about oppression. And to Leo's point, no one in this country is oppressed because everyone's life is the sum choices of their personal decisions that they have made throughout that lifetime. And Leo and I are perfect examples of that. And so it is offensive, but really what it highlights is the white liberal stupidity and the arrogance that they have to believe that they know anything about oppression.
No, you're absolutely right.
Absolutely correct.
And they can't sing, but whatever. All right, just saying. I mean,
and that
it wasn't the most appealing video I've seen, just saying. All right, so Leo, Democrats obviously in the radical left want to erase history. They want to wipe it away, and they do this by infiltrating their radical agenda into the education system. I believe this is actually purposeful and that it is systematic. What can be done about this?
Re-elect President Trump. Give him 4 more years. Democrats need to wake up. Democrats in those battleground states have to wake up and understand we have a country to save. We have our history to save. We have our future to save. And it's very, very critical that for the next 100+ days, we get the message out. The base for Trump is secure. Let's get these wishy-washy Democrats to understand country first, party second. Let's keep the president in office for 4 more years.
Amen.
Absolutely. From your mouth to God's ears. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone being on the program today and everything. We'll be back after this short commercial break. Stay with us. More of The Right View.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. My administration will take all necessary steps to safeguard our citizens from this threat.
Hysterical xenophobia.
Giving Americans a false sense.
Is it accurate that if these steps had not been put in place, it could have been 2 million people dead here in the United States?
Yes. No matter how hard they try to stop us, they can't. We built the greatest economy the world has ever seen, and we're going to do it again. Together, we're beating back the invisible enemy.
What the federal government did was a phenomenal accomplishment.
Through it all, the world has witnessed the unyielding resolve of our incredible American people.
Promise made, promise kept.
And I'm fighting for you, and I love doing it with everything that I have. And you know that.
With the grace of God, we will win this war, and we will win this war quickly.
And we will make America great again.
We know you want to give Donald Trump 4 more years to fight for you in Washington, but he isn't just up against Joe Biden. He's up against the Democrat fundraising machine, and he needs all the help he can get. Don't just assume because his opponent hasn't completed a single sentence that this campaign is over. Crazy things happen, like this woman becoming Speaker of the House. Support the president today by texting Trump to 88022. Donald Trump is counting on every single one of his supporters to text Trump to 88022 now.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
And welcome back to The Right View. And ladies, I'd like to get your final thoughts, but before we do, here are a few ways that you can get involved from home. Download the groundbreaking new Trump 2020 app, available now on Apple and Android, and sign up to volunteer, register for events, and win exclusive prizes. Stay in contact with us. Text Trump to 88022, and you can text Empower to 88022 to join our Women's Coalition. And if you or your friends, family, or neighbors want to be involved in our fight to re-elect President Trump, please visit armyfortrump.com to sign up. And now, let's get to our final thoughts. Laura, let's start with you.
All right. Well, I saw this incredible video. Look, it's obviously the media would have you think that we're divided in this country and we won't help out a fellow American. But I saw this incredible video of an apartment building in Phoenix, Arizona on fire. And there's a woman who's holding her 3-year-old child out the window, like screaming for help. This 28-year-old Marine, who was also a wide receiver in college, runs barefoot over and at the last second catches the child that the mom threw out of the balcony, because literally the entire apartment is engulfed in flames. Now, sadly, that mother did not survive, but it just goes to show you will do anything for your children. And I just want to give kudos to, his name is Philip Blanks. He's 28 years old. Again, a wide receiver in college, a Marine. Thank you for serving our country. What an incredible thing you did, saving a life. He just, I was so warmed, it warmed my heart really to see this. And it just goes to show you that while the media, again, tries to tell you that this country is divided, don't believe them. We will always help out a fellow American, a fellow citizen, a fellow human in need. And this was such an amazing act of bravery, and kudos to Philip. Good for you.
And what a beautiful story. America needs more of those stories to get out to everyone, just to remind us that we do all love each other. And it's the politics that divides. And Kimberly, what are your final thoughts for this evening?
Well, and I pray for that baby and for the mother that didn't make it, but God bless her for having the courage and to think in a moment like that, what to do to save her child. It's incredible. So this past week has given me obviously time to reflect on what's important and really dive into the beautiful stories, of America, from the accomplishments of the men whose faces are carved into Mount Rushmore, which was beautiful to see. I'd never seen it before, to the everyday freedoms that we hold dear. And this election really is just not about blue or red, just like the story that we just talked about indicated. It's not about right. It's not about left. It's not even about going forward or backward. This election is about what it means to actually and truly to be an American. And that's each and every one of us. We're all Americans. And Democrats want to tear down our history because for generations, they have been on the wrong side of history. They hate America because they do not believe in all that it has accomplished and everything we have done as a nation together. And making America great again has never been about, going backwards, but instead about embracing once more all the things that make this country truly special and unique, and I believe the greatest country in the world. And that's why I pray every night for 4 more years of President Trump. I think it is so important because he will bring us all together. And that's why we need all of you out there joining forces with all of us here in our army to help save this country and march towards November.
Yeah, Kimberly, speaking of this march towards November and the leadership of President Trump preserving our country with positive patriotism and love for our citizens, there is a rally coming up this week, July 11th, Portsmouth, New Hampshire at 8 p.m. Go to donaldjtrump.com/events to register. Let's get out there and support our president. And with that, Mercy, you have other news about events this week. What are your final thoughts?
Yeah, well, gosh, first of all, Kimberly, that was just beautiful. You almost made me cry. Seriously, like you do realize the critical state we're in this country right now, and how we do need to save America for the next generation and teach them the importance of the freedoms that so many people have fought for and sacrificed their lives for this great country. And we are, Katrina and I, and Pam Bondi and Penny Nan, some of our fabulous women patriots, are off to Wisconsin this week. I cannot believe Lara and Kimberly are not going to be with us.
I know. In spirit.
In spirit.
We'll miss
but
you.
Laura, when we had this trip in Iowa back in January, first of all, it was freezing cold. It was
oh my God.
Women for Trump bus. We were
Yeah.
with Kayleigh McEnany and Lara Trump, and my boot broke. It was like one of the funniest moments on the trip. And it was like the heel of the boot came off. Lara,
like it was so cold. It was so cold, Mercy, that the boots literally couldn't even handle the frigid temperatures. The boot was like, forget it, I'm done.
So the good news is going to Wisconsin, I'm not taking those boots, but I am taking my cowboy boots. So I'm really excited about that. We're going to go visit a fourth generation farm, family owned, and spend time with them. We're going to be meeting with Catholics who support Trump, Black Voices, MAGA meetup as well. We're also going to be having a Women in Power Hour, being able to talk about the issues that matter to women in Wisconsin, and obviously talking about the president's incredible record when it comes to USMCA, bringing jobs back to America, and talking about Joe Biden's weak record on how he's turned his back against American workers. So we're really excited to get back on the road. So if you are in Wisconsin and you see a big pink bus going by, we're in there. Katrina and I,
ladies,
and some of our wonderful friends are going to be joining us on this great trip to connect with America and talk about the president.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We will miss you, Lara and Kimberly, and we'll all be together on that bus at some point eventually. And, you know, I think this could be our book, ladies. We need to write a book about all of the faux pas and the wardrobe malfunctions on these bus tours. I think it would be great to share with women all across the country who will be able to relate to all of these things. So thank you so much, ladies. And I want to thank our special guest this evening, Leo Terrell, for joining us. And a huge thank you to all of our amazing supporters at home for tuning in 7 nights a week, Team Trump Online. And we will see you next time. Have a good night, everyone.